Take out a sheet of paper and divide it into two columns. On one side, please write the word and part of speech. On the other side, please write the definition and any helpful examples. Please pause the video any time if you feel that I am going too fast. The first word is sober. Sober is an adjective that, besides describing one who is not drunk or intoxicated, can also refer to one who has or shows a very serious attitude or quality about them. It can be one who has a thoughtful demeanor, sober. For example, Janet is quite excitable, but her sister is much more sober and thoughtful. Avant-garde. Avant-garde is an adjective describing that which is new and unusual, or it can refer to experimental ideas, especially ones that take place in the arts. For instance, as an avant-garde photographer, Jim avoids traditional photos and focuses on shooting unusual poses. An antonym of avant-garde would be conventional. Conventional is also an adjective used to describe that which is used and accepted by most people, the usual thing or the traditional accepted idea. For instance, instead of the conventional white wedding dress, the bride insisted on a garish shade of purple. Ideology. Ideology is a noun referring to a systematic body of concepts or ideas, especially a systematic body that deals with human life or culture. It's a belief system. For instance, the differences of ideology in the party have resulted in divisions that may actually result in an eventual split. Lofty. Lofty is an adjective describing that which is elevated in character, spirit, or status. If you think of a loft is an open area that is above a living space of sorts. So lofty is again above normal character or spirit or status. For instance, because Matt has lofty ambitions, he is applying to a couple of Ivy League colleges as well as the local university. Racy. Racy is an adjective used to describe that which is risque or suggestive. For example, due to its description of taboo and indecent acts, the novel was considered rather racy at the time it was written. Manifesto. Manifesto is a noun referring to a written statement that describes the policies, the goals, and the opinions of either a person or a group. Manifesto is usually a declaration of those policies, goals, or opinions. For instance, the humanitarian group's manifesto focused on helping the poor and stopping violence. That was their goal, that was their policy. Tersely. Tersely is an adverb describing that which is done in a brief and direct way that may seem rude or unfriendly even. For example, her email was so tersely written that I can only wonder if she was upset about something. Import. Import is a noun, while sometimes referring to items or objects that are imported from other areas of the world. Import can also mean the significance or meaning of something, especially when not directly stated. Think of importance when you think of import. For example, The politician's stance on eliminating the penny was an issue of little import to voters. Erudite. Erudite is an adjective describing a person who has or shows knowledge that is learned by studying. For example, while I learned everything that I know from television, my sister can credit being erudite to spending countless hours in the classroom obtaining her doctoral degree. Doctrine. Doctrine is a noun referring to something that is taught, specifically when dealing with ideas or beliefs that are generally believed to be true, especially by the one who is teaching them. For example, the government was founded on a doctrine of equality for all people. Mammon. Mammon is a noun referring to material wealth or possessions, especially material wealth or possessions that have some sort of debasing influence. There is negative connotation when referring to mammon. For example, coming from the Bible, you cannot serve both God and mammon. They're at a contrast. Bourgeois. Bourgeois is an adjective describing that which is relating to or belonging to the middle class of society. It is in direct contrast to lower class or even the very high class of royalty or the like. For instance, because my aunt only buys expensive clothes, many people consider her to be bourgeois. Gratification. Gratification is a noun referring to a source of satisfaction or a source of pleasure. When you are gratified, you are satisfied. For example, eating good chocolate gives me a sense of intense gratification. Indispensable. Indispensable is an adjective describing that which is not able to be set aside or neglected. Indispensable can also be describing that which is absolutely necessary or important to someone, something, a task. That which is indispensable cannot be dispensed or gotten rid of. For example, fully aware that he was an indispensable assistant, he decided that it was high time that he be paid what he was worth. Ignoble. Ignoble is an adjective describing that or one who is not deserving of respect. Very simply, one who is ignoble is not noble or not honorable. For example, during his speech, the district attorney promised to rid the city of ignoble police officers guilty of abusing their power. Next is latrine. Latrine is a noun referring to a toilet, usually one that's formed outside by digging a hole in the ground. A latrine is commonly used in camps or barracks, especially when you're dealing with the military or soldiers. For instance, one soldier, rather close to the bottom of the ladder, was required to keep the latrines clean and the barrack stoves going in cold weather. Not a very glamorous job. Exploit. Exploit is a verb describing the action of getting value or use from something. Specifically, exploit usually means to use someone or something in a way that helps you in an unfair way. For example, the young man was able to exploit the old woman's illness by getting her to pay him large sums of money to clean and maintain her home. Implication. Implication is a noun referring to something that is suggested without being said directly. Implication comes from that word imply or implicit. Implication can also refer to a possible future effect or result based on something else that has happened. For example, if computer hackers are able to get into almost any system, the implications for national security are horrifying. And finally, pernicious. Pernicious is an adjective describing that which causes great harm or damage, often in a way that is not easily seen or noticed. So, lots of harm, but not noticed. For instance, because of its high winds, the hurricane was quite pernicious to the small town.